Hey, folks, and welcome to another episode of Onward Ozarks. I am your host, Randy Wilburn. I'm excited to be here with you today. We've got a great session. So as you guys start piling in to this webinar session, if you are a soccer lover like I am, this is going to be an hour well spent. And so I'm excited to be here. We've got a great group of folks that are joining us today to talk about the latest thing that's happening here in Northwest Arkansas as it pertains to soccer. We are about to get a professional team in Northwest Arkansas, and we are excited today. We've got some great guests with us. We have Chris Martinovic. We have Warren Smith and Amanda Vandervort. And Amanda's the president of the USL Super League. Warren Smith is, well, I'm going to let Warren tell you who he is. And Chris and I are both from New Jersey. So I just want to put that out there at the beginning. But I just want to welcome everybody to the Onward Ozarks session today, where we're going to talk about USL Arkansas. How are you guys doing?
Doing great,
Thank
Randy.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So listen, we're going to get started. I just want to do some quick housekeeping for all of you that are on this call. There's a lot of people already logging in, have already logged in. We are going to have some great giveaways today, so certainly want you to remain on throughout the whole hour. There's going to be a lot of information shared. We want you to ask questions. If we can get to them, we will. Keep your questions PC as you can, and remember that we're all on the same team here. So certainly just work with me as far as that's concerned. But no, ask, because you guys always ask great questions. So ask some good questions. Anything that you want to know about soccer here in Northwest Arkansas and what these folks are hoping to ultimately do with us and for us. And so I'm excited for that. And throughout this session, I will give away some amazing USL Arkansas soccer scarves. Is that the best way to describe them, Chris? I mean, you may,
right.
Yes. So you got mine got taken by my son. The one that you guys gave me when we did our podcast got taken. So I may have to get another one, but there are 5 that we're going to give away on this session today. And so I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned for that. And just really, I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So without further ado, I would love for each of you just to quickly introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the questions and see also what the audience would like to learn more about USL Arkansas. So Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure, we'll just do a quick intro. Chris Martinovic, live here in Northwest Arkansas since 2007. And I came down here as a supplier. And now what we'll talk about today is helping co-found professional sports kind of introduction into Northwest Arkansas. Really exciting. Love the region, and we'll talk more about how it kind of all came about.
Well, and I love that. And I told you yesterday I was going to mention this, that during the pandemic, you reached out to me, kind of a cold call thing. I think you had discovered the podcast, and we have a kinship because we're both from the Garden State, and you started telling me about this idea, this desire, this dream. And what you were saying to me in that long conversation that we had while I was in the parking lot of my son's school is now manifested itself into what we see today. And so I am really excited, and I got to rub shoulders with you more often, because out of your mouth, you were speaking what this could ultimately be. And now here we are. So I want to congratulate you again for having the ability to persist. And certainly you couldn't do it without these other 2 wonderful people here. So Warren, why don't you go next, and we're going to save the best for last with Amanda.
Yeah, sure. And by far the best. But Randy and Rob, thanks for having us. And listen, I'm not from Northwest Arkansas, but have been visiting here since 1990 when my grandmother moved here. And then my parents moved here in 2003. So I've been coming here a lot, and I've been watching this region punch above its weight class and continue to build. So I'm really excited about this project. But I'm a serial entrepreneur, just happened to be in sports, where I, start companies, help communities grow, and use sport to actually make their communities better places to live, work, and play. So just really excited to be here and to partner with Chris and to make a difference in Northwest Arkansas.
That's nice. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Warren. And Amanda? You're next.
Well, I was thinking you might have just said best because I went to the College of New Jersey. So maybe there was some of that Garden State
There
vibe
you
flowing
go.
through here.
Yes.
Shout out to TCNJ Lions and the women's
Right.
soccer team there. I'm Amanda Vandervort. I'm the president of the USL Super League, and it's a real honor to be with you guys today and talking about bringing, professional women's soccer to Northwest Arkansas. I'm a soccer lifer. I've been in the game my whole career, and am extremely passionate, of course, about soccer, but specifically about women's soccer and creating more opportunities, across the country. And specifically, I think Northwest Arkansas is just such a cool place to bring the Super League. So thank you for having me. I'm excited about today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. So we're gonna have a really rich conversation. Chris, I'm gonna start with you. Again, a lot alluding to what I had said earlier, but tell me why and how Northwest Arkansas became the right place for a USL franchise.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. It's an interesting story. So I'll back up a little bit. I grew up playing a sport, played all sports, but played soccer all the way through college at Seton Hall University. Played professionally in this league a long time ago when it was kind of in its infancy stages of U.S. soccer, and just fell in love with not just the sport, but what passion and what it can do for communities and how it can bring people together and how it's so inclusive. And it's just different than other sports in that regard. And so that's always been with me. I was a son of Croatian immigrants, so I grew up playing the sport, and my dad coached it, and we started youth leagues in New Jersey, and that's kind of how we grew up with it. And so, long story short, as I kind of work in my professional career, I'm still engaged in the game, and I'm coaching and have a ton of connections in MLS, USL, US soccer levels. I always stayed in touch with it, always stayed close to the game. And so I moved down here in 2006 as a supplier for Walmart, like many folks online probably did. I was supposed to be here for 18 months, typical story. And now it's 2023, and we've elected to raise our family here, live here, and watch this area grow. And now I get to be a small part of that contribution of growth. And so I couldn't be more excited about where we are. The way that it started was when I came down in 2007. I was in love with the area. It took me 6 months, and then we decided we really want to make this home. The one area that I really struggled with, and Randy, we've talked about this, is that we grew up in the Northeast. We had 10, 12 professional sports teams to go to, right? And we had variety and options of entertainment. And when I came here, while I loved everything about Northwest Arkansas, I really despised the fact that I had to drive to Kansas City or Memphis or Tulsa, Oklahoma City, or Dallas, and beyond to go watch professional sports. And we're a sports family. We did it for not just soccer, for all sports. Took my kids and my wife and other families that were in youth sports, and we made that trek over and over again. And back then it kind of sat in my brain, and I thought about it that this was really not. The region deserves so much more, and the people here deserve so much more. But I never knew how that would manifest itself. And so fast forward to 2019. I have a discussion with the president of the league at the time, Jake Edwards, who go back to Jersey again. He was one of my best friends growing up, and we played soccer together growing up. He went on and had a professional career in England for many years, and became a great leader of the USL, and took them to where they are today. And so I mentioned to him that Northwest Arkansas is this diamond in the rough, and it's an opportunity for exactly the kind of opportunity that USL is looking for in terms of market demographic, population. Our median age is about 34, which is about the exact age of what a USL soccer fan is at 35, much younger than a baseball fan and some of the other sports. And so we have this growth. We have a corporate community. We have an international community moving here. We have a strong Latin and Hispanic community here. And so all the elements were here. And so I made that pitch. And initially they thought, hey, maybe this is a little too small for us, right? Maybe we want to go into some bigger markets. And so I said, all right, well, go back and here's some data. And in about 2 days after their group went back and analyzed the information, they decided that they were extremely excited and wanted to plan a visit out to Northwest Arkansas. And that happened in 2019. First time they came out and did a market analysis. and visited the whole region, north and south, and did a tour. And literally that was the beginning of USL as a league getting on board with Northwest Arkansas. And so that process started back then. So we're 4.5 years since we started talking about it. And that's probably when I reached out to you, Randy, in that time frame. It was about 2020, probably in the middle of COVID, and just we kind of connected and chatted, and never got to get together for various reasons. But then you fast forward, and one of the biggest moments that we had was when I met Warren Smith. And so I knew about Warren through his success in USL, his background at 3 different USL clubs, and helping build multiple very successful community-led franchises, particularly in Sacramento and San Diego Loyal, Sacramento Republic. And so I didn't know that he had a Northwest Arkansas connection, though. That was kind of the unknown nugget. And so when Jake Edwards, the president, reached out to me and said, "Hey, Warren Smith is in Northwest Arkansas. I wondered why the heck he was here." We met up for coffee in the middle of COVID and chatted. At that time, he was running and operating and leading the San Diego Loyal. And I asked him for advice. He gave me some pointers, and we started down that path. But he couldn't come on board yet. He was pre-obligated. So we'll get back into that part of the story in a little bit. But that was a game changer for us because I had the local passion. I love the region. I love the sport. I have a pretty good business background, but I've never started a professional sports franchise, right? And so not knowing where your weaknesses are was something that I think I acknowledged pretty early, and that's where Warren came into the mix and was able to really elevate us to the next level.
Yeah. I also tell sometimes people, not knowing what you don't know is almost a superpower, right? Because it doesn't limit you, right? You think the sky is the limit. And I've started a number of businesses, and I get that. And so I applaud you for doing what you've done so far to this point. And we're excited to see what's happening. And I certainly want to hear from Warren, because Warren, I know that you've done this before. Having started professional baseball and now soccer teams. But just when you go into every detail, can you talk about what's exciting about being involved in starting an expansion team like what we are experiencing right now with USL Arkansas? Is it scary? Is it fun from the moment that you decide to do it? I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, I try to focus on really what's going to happen at the end. And I've been very fortunate, again, not knowing what you don't know, right? I was able to build and lead an effort to bring AAA baseball to Sacramento. In that, I got a letter from a 16-year-old kid in December after the season thanking me for starting the River Cats, and he told his story. And his parents were estranged from his grandfather. They were out of town. They had season tickets with us. They gave him the season tickets. And guess who he invites to the game? He invites his grandfather. Never met him and never talked to him. And so he leaves a ticket at will call. You couldn't transfer tickets online back then. And guess who shows up? Grandpa shows up, and they end up having a relationship formed out of sport. And so that's when it hit me really what I love to do. It's really about connecting people and really making a difference. Now, when you start these things, it's all about really just plowing through a lot of, and Chris is learning this now. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do that's just that nobody would ever think about, right? But it's all, setting up and trying to do the right things at the right time. And the first thing we need to do is, find a place to play where people will ultimately want to come. And that's the most important thing. As an operator, it's much easier to sell tickets to an event where people want to come, and not just to enjoy the sport, but what happens around the sport, being able to be entertained before and after. And so that's really what I think the difference that I was at least able to help Chris with in the very beginning was, finding the right location, changing the pro forma on what you're looking for. And at the end, we found a beautiful piece of property right behind the Promenade Mall in Pinnacle Hills. And that's your living room. That's your family room of Northwest Arkansas. And so you're already used to going there. now if we can just add a sport there, and you can, partake in the restaurants, the beer gardens, the distilleries, play some top golf beforehand, maybe see a concert after a match. I mean, there's so much cool that we can do. So that's the fun part for me, is really kind of plowing through everything that we need to do to ultimately get to the end, and then get those letters from people that actually are thanking you for what you've been able to do.
Yeah. No, I know. And I can only imagine that, when you look at the mountain that's in front of you, right, in terms of this achievement of trying to get this off the ground, you almost just have to take it one step at a time. You can't over obsess about the pinnacle, because there's so much in between where you are now and where the top of that mountain is. So I appreciate you sharing that. And we're going to come back to you with a few other questions. Our first two winners for these wonderful scarves. And Chris, you can show that scarf again. Actually, you get two scarves, not one, but two. So you can share it with your best friend, your spouse, your significant other, your brother, sister, whomever. The first two winners are Debbie Winters and Benanice Alcala. And Benanice, if I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. You win the USL Arkansas scarves. You guys can wear those with pride. It's not cold enough yet to have them, but you should throw them on real soon and start walking around town, and people will know that you got those. And certainly, please confirm that you are on the line, because we do have you registered here for this event. And then in a little bit, we'll give away a few more scarves. Amanda, as I said, I saved the best for last. I wanted you, and I think it's important for people that are listening to this to recognize, that women's soccer in the United States is, it's like, when you talk about women's soccer, it's almost at the same level as you talk about like the dream team. So women's soccer is fully evolved. Let's be very clear about that. Maybe they didn't do what we thought they were going to do at the World Cup this year, but they are fully evolved. But Amanda, I said, when did talk of a women's team in Northwest Arkansas first surface? I know that the Super League didn't announce it would even exist until this past spring, but my guess is simply that it went from a place that was going to have a men's team to a place that was going to have both a men's and a women's team. So how did that come about?
I think I don't think it's an unusual story, actually, the evolution of having women's soccer in Northwest Arkansas. We have 36 men's professional teams playing in the USL across the country, and the opportunity to have women's soccer also in a lot of those venues in a lot of those cities has been an ongoing conversation pretty consistently for a long time. So when we started talking, obviously, to this group here in Northwest Arkansas, it was a no-brainer. The communities across the country, but specifically Northwest Arkansas, is hungry for women's professional sports, the opportunity for women to work in the game, play in the game, watch the game they love, and be part. I love what Warren said about this community living room and being part of something that's bigger, that's obviously supporting the players on the field, but coming together around this sensibility of professional women's sports, I think is really unique and special. So for the USL, I mean, it's part of our DNA. Women's soccer, women's sports, women in the front office is part of who and what we are and what we're building. And we're excited that Northwest Arkansas has been so supportive and so ambitious and so excited about having that same identity and really building two clubs, but one club with multiple genders playing within it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's got to be exciting. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, this is great. And I said to myself, if they had a women's team, that would be great as well. I've seen a lot of the youth leagues here, and there's some really solid, like top level, like nationwide top level talent in like 15, 16-year-old young ladies soccer teams in programs here in Northwest Arkansas that I think a lot of people aren't even aware of. And so there is this is fertile ground for what the future could hold for women's soccer, for sure.
Yeah, in the region. I mean, my understanding is you guys are on fire in women's sports and women's soccer, recently filling stadiums with at University of Arkansas, right? Recently, there was a big game with 3,700, I think, people came to the game. Yep. I mean, what an outpouring of support has been tremendous. And then I think the playing pool. Listen, if you look at the landscape of soccer in America. Right now, there's 12 professional women's teams in this country. There's over 100 men's professional teams overall across the United States. So there's already a huge gap in the number of opportunities for women to be pros. Take that and add it to the fact there's 40,000 women playing college soccer in the United States right now. They have nowhere to go. So what's happening in the United States, we're losing a lot of players along that journey. A lot of those players today that you're referencing in the region, they don't see a future in professional soccer today, but you know what? They will soon. They will soon. We're going to bring professional soccer to the region and create more opportunities for them to stay in the game and a vision of themselves working, watching, and playing, soccer.
Yeah, that's huge, I think. And that's the one thing that I'm definitely excited about, especially raising a child that plays highly competitive soccer. Just having those opportunities speaks volumes. And I think just having them right here in Northwest Arkansas means the world. So Chris, I want to ask you a question. When you started talking about the USL, about a team here with Warren, what factors do you think really latched on that made the league say, you know what? Because you mentioned it and they did a study, but was there one thing that really stood out to them about Northwest Arkansas? Because of course, that's what we're talking about here. When we're talking about regional businesses, why we're always encouraging regional growth from a business perspective, and so many businesses are relocating here. What was it specifically that stood out to them when they finally got on the boots on the ground and said, "Oh my God, yeah, this place could be really a great place, a landing spot for another USL franchise"?
Well, the beautiful part about USL is that it brings professional sports into communities that may not be able to have that opportunity. And so when you think about, if you look at the MLS, which is Division I, they go to the top 30-ish markets, big media markets where the NFL, NBA kind of teams are. USL has really excelled from 30 to 100, right? That's kind of the sweet spot. And these are communities that aren't going to get an NFL team today or any major media-driven sporting environments. And so we weren't even on that 100 list, by the way, when we started that discussion. We are now, right? I think eventually we got to 100. But the single biggest reason that they loved this region was the growth. The growth that's happening here, not just people, right? We have 38 people a day that move here. Everybody knows that. We always have those stats. But it's the growth in terms of infrastructure, entertainment, the diversity of people that are coming here. We have we have Fortune, 500 companies in our backyard, right? And when we talk to those big companies, their biggest initiatives are how do we attract and retain top level talent, right? Yeah. And the soccer team in a soccer stadium is not going to be the one reason why somebody comes or doesn't, or stays, but it's another factor. It's another check mark to say, hey, when I'm moving here from New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, this looks like what I had at home. I'm used to having this. So that new folks don't have that feeling that I had when I came in 07 and said, we're the professional sports, right? And so it's just one more check mark to kind of helping attract the talent. So there was a lot of factors with our demographic overlap, the young age of our region, which I mentioned earlier was about 34 years old. And it just became a really natural fit with the USL. And in fact, I think the leadership of the USL has probably been here 7 or 8 times over the last several years for various meetings, market checks, and discussions. So they couldn't be more excited, as Amanda said. When we add in the success of the Lady Razorback team here and the youth teams, we have a ton of teams that compete at regional, national level. The challenge is at 15, 16, a lot of the top players will leave our communities to go chase higher level soccer, right? Yeah. And so we can help kind of fill that gap a little bit, and help have an opportunity for that players on both on the girls and the boys side to progress and wear the same jersey and uniform and have that opportunity to really move on to the next level and not have them move to Tulsa or Kansas City or Houston or Dallas like we've seen so many times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. And and every year you see those kids where you're like, oh my gosh, this kid's amazing. And then the next thing you know, oh well, they're headed to Kansas City to go to the sporting academy, or they're headed down to Dallas to go to the academy down there. So yeah, I think it'll be nice. And I actually know parents that are just shuttling their kids back and forth to Tulsa every day for practice to play on an ECNL team because
Right.
they don't have the access to that here in Northwest Arkansas, even though there is great competition. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that more than anything else. I would love both Chris and Warren, if you guys could chime in, because some of the questions that are coming in are around the choice of the location, right? So the location is up behind or somewhere in the vicinity of Pinnacle Hills Promenade. Could you kind of speak to how you came to choose that location? It makes sense, perfect sense to me, but some people were wondering about, why maybe other areas weren't considered, like over by Arvest Ballpark. And we are going to talk about the Naturals in a minute, or someplace in Fayetteville. I think people are just curious as to how you came up with that location in Rogers.
Well, if I may, Chris, at the end of the day, we scoured the market. We didn't not look at everything. I mean, we looked at Fayetteville, we looked at Bentonville, we looked at Rogers, we looked at where the Arvest Ballpark is, and frankly, that's where Chris was really looking to go in the beginning. But as an operator, I know the absolute essentials around this, and it's people want to be entertained between 4 and 5 hours. If they get a babysitter, they want to make sure that they have a night. And if you actually can give them that night, and keep in mind, we're only a 2-hour event, it's really, really important that we locate near, locations where people are already familiar to go with. So ideally for us, we want, to be seen by the freeways, good access in and out, decent parking, good walkability, to be in the center of a community, easily accessed by all geographics. Also, the different ethnic communities as well. We want everybody to be able to come to this. So when we start looking at this, you have to have enough land to be able to do it. Fortunately, there is a bunch of land in Arkansas, but there wasn't a lot of land that actually had these components. So when you really look at it, we're very fortunate to meet the Hunt family and ultimately find a piece of property that they owned. As you know, they've probably the leader in the development of Pinnacle Hills, and they just were holding on to this property for something special versus just building some apartments. And they thought that this was something that worked for them. Imagine being able to go to Pinnacle Hills and do some shopping, or going to a restaurant, going to the Rendezvous Junction Brewery before or after a game, having dinner with your friends at a restaurant location, playing some Top Golf, like I said earlier, or going to a concert. Ultimately, it extends the entertainment experience to fill up that 4.5 hours that people are really, really looking for. So that's what, ultimately led us to this site. But again, I mean, we looked everywhere, and Chris has been looking everywhere for 5 years. And so there's some challenges on every property, right? But it's like, which one provides you with the least amount of challenges and the best opportunity to be successful? So that's how we ended up here.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I think Rogers kind of seems centrally located, and we travel up there. I was just up there the other night for a soccer match. So, it's I think it's going to end up being a great location for it. So we're definitely excited to see that. Want to give away 2 more scarves. We want to keep it moving. And so the next winners are, and Tyler, listen, man, I apologize if I butcher your last name, but it's Tyler and I guess the D is silent. Lugolecki, Tyler Lugolecki, and Denise Garner. I don't know if that's Denise Furman Garner, but if it is, congratulations, State Rep Garner. You just won a USL Arkansas soccer scarf. You guys, please reach out to us in the Q&A and give us your mailing address, and we will get those out to you right away. And we also haven't heard from Benanisa Alcala, so if you could also do that as well, I would appreciate it. And we look forward to it. So I do have a question since we brought it up and we mentioned Arvest Ballpark. And Warren, this is certainly a question for you. The Northwest Arkansas has the Naturals, which is a double A professional minor league baseball team. They've been playing in Springdale since 2008, and now we'll be adding 2 professional soccer teams. How does the presence of the other professional teams influence what you do? And I want to add to that another question that one of the attendees asked, which was simply this. So this is kind of an addendum to that, is that there are many clubs in Northwest Arkansas that have failed to get the kind of support. And they're speaking of like Ozark FC, NWA Legacy, RVFC, Bullies, and other clubs that are in the area. So one of the questions is all of the competing attention and competition for eyeballs and for butts and seats, if you will. How will you guys reconcile that?
Sorry. Competition drives the market, right? And what we're doing is really providing options. And baseball is my favorite sport. I went to 16 Padre games this year, living in San Diego. I love going to baseball games, and I love the experience of those, which is different. You can sit there and have a conversation, watch a pitch, for 2 seconds, and then you go back and have a conversation. And in essence, it's a one-on-one, relationship. It's a little bit different in soccer, man, because once you start the kickoff, if you turn your head, you have a likelihood of missing a goal. So goals are special.
Yeah.
And not to mention that you've got a rowdy group and supporters groups that's just cheering and creating an atmosphere that is just electric, right? And nonstop during the entire match. And then what happens is that gets contagious and people start to catch it. And then, this energy starts to build. It's just so different than actually a one-on-one relationship. You're actually together with a whole group of people, watching the whole thing. So I think, listen, you'll find from us, being a baseball fan that, and I've been there multiple times myself. I enjoy them. Eric Hosmer, great player, used to play for the Padres, came through there as well. At the end of the day, it's important for us to really just recognize who we are and that we're going to be different.
Yeah.
Our sport is, we're going to be on TV. We're going to be an ESPN Plus or a platform like that nationwide. We'll get ESPN matches, at least one, where we actually are on national TV, and then we'll have local TV as well. And then take it another step forward. How we operate our teams is completely different, right? I mean, we're a grassroots organization that's out in the community, growing relationships. It's all about relationships. How do we actually develop personal relationships with tens of thousands of people and then make a difference for them, listen to them, ultimately, deliver for them? Not that the folks at Arvest don't do that, but at the end of the day, they're owned by somebody out of Buffalo, and no disrespect to them at all, that maybe they just don't have as much attention paid to the area only because they're just not here. Our ownership is local. Our ownership will be fully local, and we want to really celebrate that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, grow those relationships.
Yeah. And speaking of which, and I don't know if you guys have done studies on this aspect of it in terms of the overall impact that USL Arkansas will have in this region, but have you looked at the number of the job creation that this program that you guys are going to bring to the area? Because somebody even asked, how many people will end up moving here to Northwest Arkansas to be a part of your organization? So I'd be curious to know what you guys have come up with or found will be that type of impact. Oh, by the way, I heard from Tyler, and he gave me the correct pronunciation of his last name, Dulugolecki, and he just said to me that their house is being listed next week, and they're excited to be moving down to Northwest Arkansas soon from Kansas City. So, Tyler, welcome to Northwest Arkansas. So, but I would love for one of you guys to answer that question about the impact of the opening up this new USL soccer team here.
Okay, Chris, you okay if I take that? Yeah, we're going to have, 35 to 40 full-time employees. Of course, we've got staff that's going to support that. We'll have over 150 to 200 employees when you think about the part-time labor. We haven't done an economic study in Northwest Arkansas, but similar studies have shown that, you're probably economic impact of, 300 million over a, 10 million, a 30-year period. At the end of the day, I would think that those are good numbers. But back to another question that we didn't answer, and the last one is about the failed attempts before. Listen, the sport has changed and is continuing to change. It's the number 2 sport for the ages of 12 to 24 years old. That's a study done by ESPN, literally 1% behind the NFL. In that age group, it is almost the number 1 sport. And in that age group, the next study will show that it has passed the NFL. So it continues to grow, right? So it's growing. And if you can do it right and run a professional organization that is really focused on the key attributes of running the business, we're going to be ultimately successful.
Warren, just to build on that point, so I was going to type an answer as well. One of the benefits is having the USL league support and successful platform behind us. And some of those teams just didn't have that beforehand. You're talking about a very successful, the fastest growing professional sports league in America here that has, teams in nearly 40 markets, right? And when we looked at the analysis, we studied a lot of comp markets, right? We looked at what other markets that are not that dissimilar to us in terms of size and population. And by the way, all of those markets we outpace in growth, right? But you look at like a Colorado Springs or an El Paso, these are markets that are very, very similar to us in comparable size. And they're drawing 6,000-7,000+ people to games pretty consistently, sometimes more than that. And then there's several really great success examples, like in New Mexico, Louisville, right? Maybe a little bit larger from a market, but we're not talking about New York City size markets here, right? They're drawing 10, 11, 12,000 people to games in the USL. So there's multiple examples. And then you add somebody like Warren in, who's been driven one of the most successful teams in the league, which is Sacramento Republic, and able to win a championship the first year, and actually did so well that the MLS came in and gave an award to that team, right? And so we have multiple factors that are all good tailwinds and then you add the Northwest Arkansas growth on top of it. We feel like we have the perfect project at the right time and the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Amanda, I got a couple of questions for you, and some people had some specific questions about women in soccer. I'd love for you to, I know that the USL Super League starts play next August, 2024. Talk about the start of the league and where you'd expect things to be in terms of the number of teams by the time the NWA team starts playing in 2026, which is just, 2.5 years away. No pressure.
Yeah, well, I think good to share. So we're the first professional soccer league in the country to be on this calendar that starts in August. So we'll play the fall season and a spring season, and our championship will actually be in June. So that's a bit different. And the reason for that is we want to align with the rest of the world in terms of how we're thinking about the growth of soccer and women's soccer specifically. I think Warren nailed it on the head when he said that the game has changed. And today, when you look at women's soccer, and you mentioned earlier, Randy, about the Women's World Cup in Australia, New Zealand, it really is a global economy. And what I love about Northwest Arkansas is it's a global community. And you guys are talking about how many people are moving there. There's such a alignment with the sport in a global way. So that's super cool about our calendar and how we're thinking, about the growth of the league. So where we're at by the time Northwest Arkansas plays, I mean, we'll be a thriving league in multiple communities, across the country. I think one of the questions that came in the chat that would be good to answer was about the level. We our intention is to play as a Division I sanctioned league from US Soccer. So we're really excited about that. And then there was another question about a US Open Cup or playing against NWSL teams. Listen, we love the NWSL. We want to play against those teams. We love US Soccer and would love for U.S. Soccer to create a U.S. Open Cup. We are like actively pursuing it and hope that it happens. But this will be the first time there's multiple pro leagues. So the first time we can actually create that tournament in the United States. So we're excited to be leaders in that effort and work together with all of the leagues across the country to make it happen. That's at the pro level and the pre-professional level as well. So there's multiple leagues that we just need to align on a schedule so that we can get something like that. I'll add in terms of in terms of competition against other leagues, we're hoping CONCACAF, they've announced that they'll have a club championship coming up at some point, hopefully in the near future. And of course, FIFA is looking to have a Club World Cup for women. None of these tournaments exist today. So at the USL and the Super League, and with Northwest Arkansas behind us, we want to be leaders in making those tournaments and those opportunities happen so that, Northwest Arkansas can be the winner of the world championships in FIFA and the Club World Cup. And we want to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's exciting. And I think what, one of the questions that people asked or really that we were talking about originally was just the fact of having two teams, a men's and a women's team in one location. There are shared resources. There are a lot of aspects of that which make it a lot easier. And so I would expect that they would both grow in unison with each other because of just being able to kind of feed off of each other, because I know one person asked, well, will a women's team have their own unique group of fans? But I would go to a women's game just as quickly as I'd go to a men's game. So how do you hope to kind of spur that type of participation, Amanda?
Well, I think one of the secret sauces of the USL is our collaborative kind of league office and the infrastructure that we've built at the league office, but then that extends to our club. So I do think having the men's and the women's clubs allows, a bit of resource sharing and creates not only immediate viability of the club, but the long-term sustainability. So, so that we can create impact, generational impact is really how we think about the USL Super League and what our aim is to achieve. So, the vision for Super League is to create that and then be really focused on what the fans are looking for, what the community is looking for. As Warren, has talked a lot about what that experience is around the game. You're going to find fans who find a different, it'll be a little bit of a different experience, perhaps at a women's game than a men's game. And we love that there are people looking for different options at different times or opposite weekends. But the beauty is that we can create that so that everyone has a place to go and watch and experience professional soccer, regardless of which team you love the most or both teams. Randy, like you're coming out every weekend.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to do, and I'll have the scarves for it to prove it. So, well, I know that Representative Garner, who is on this call, said we got to do a bipartisan, bicameral resolution, Soccer Day week month, and she said she's glad to help with that. So, Chris and Warren and Amanda, I want you to get in touch with State Representative Denise Garner. She's an amazing individual to definitely make that happen, because I think, again, it's that groundswell of support that I believe you are going to get. You're already receiving it, but as you start to expand out your circles and connections and connectivity, you're going to see that people are going to come out of the woodwork to support these efforts to get USL Arkansas off the ground. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. All right. So hold on. I want to just, Ryan Murray, please send me your address so we can get you your scarf, because you are a winner as well. And I want to mention here, we got, I've got some really nice comments. Some were just great comments. Mayor David Falk said that no question here. I just wanted to share my excitement about soccer coming to Northwest Arkansas. Let's keep moving NWA forward. Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you, Mayor Falk, for chiming in. Peter McKeith asked a question, which was kind of where I wanted to go with it, because a lot of people were asking about the stadium and what that's going to look like. And Peter McKeith said, could you talk to the stadium design? There's a new beautiful stadium in St. Louis, which really sets the standard. as Dean of the Fay Jones School of Architecture with Design at the U of A, I can say that our students would be happy to think with you. Great to have soccer/football finally here in Northwest Arkansas. Warren, Chris, I'd love for you guys to kind of speak to that stadium aspect of it, because I've heard some rumblings about it, which I got excited about when I did, but I'll let you do that. But before you do, I want to let everyone know that we popped a link in the comments so that you guys can vote on a name, because we've had several questions asked. When will USL Arkansas decide on a name for the club? They are in the process of doing that, but they certainly want to get input and support from everybody that's here. So there's a link where you can vote. You can actually vote on a number of things that the club is considering, and certainly they're not going to do just about anything in this area without input from you. So I want to encourage your participation. Please, please, please participate in that link. Don't just get it and just look at it. Fill it out, support it, send it in to them, and it will be really helpful for Chris, Warren, and Amanda and the rest of the USL Arkansas team. So thank you for doing that. Now, back to this question, Chris, Warren, the stadium.
I'll let Warren answer the meat of this, but let me make one point about the stadium that is probably the most exciting part of the stadium, is that it's not just going to have 20 men's games and on top of that 20 women's games in a year, right? So we're going to fill it with 40 nights a year on soccer. This is being built with a specific purpose to be a multi-use facility, right? And if you look around in professional sports, this is a kind of a newer model. You want to be able to, it's hard to utilize baseball stadiums, right, for multi-use facilities because of the shape of the stadium. And so we're going to build this in a way that is extremely flexible, can host multiple events. Think about things like NCAA Final Fours for multiple sports: men's soccer, women's soccer, lacrosse. How about high school championships, right? I know there's folks from Little Rock and Central Arkansas. Us from Northwest Arkansas drive down that area for a lot of championship games. And we have heard a lot of feedback from our community and our supporters groups that, man, it'd be great if we could bring some of that here. Now, if we have a facility, we can host those. And then think about ancillary usage like corporate events and concerts that maybe don't fit right for the amp. We don't want to compete with the amp. We want to kind of be additive to the amp. Corporate events, Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue when they're here. So there's a 70, 80, 90, 100 nights a year that we could potentially leverage this and drive more economic development. But I'll let Warren talk about the stadium, build and the structure. He's got tons of experience in here and has some good perspective on that.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're in the process of designing currently. We'll hope to have some renderings out for the community in the next couple of weeks so they can see kind of what we're thinking about. It's a real balance for us. How do you build a, facility when city governments are ultimately building these? I'm in Oklahoma City right now for the club, just helping this club, and the city's going to invest, north of $100 million to build a brand new soccer stadium. And we can't do that in the very beginning, but what we can do is build a proof of concept facility that ultimately creates an experience that we're all, really trying to create, and that is being right on top of the match, make it part festival, part football, part entertainment, and just part family gathering, if you will. And so what you will see from us is a real balance between VIP tickets and general tickets. We have an average ticket price that's going to be in the $32 range, running from $32 to $150. And again, like Chris said, we're going to have multiple events. We hope to have friendly matches here. We're fortunate that we have some neighbors. We could obviously get Kansas City to come down and play a preseason match against us, or Dallas to come up. We'll have an international match for sure that we want to show soccer at an even higher level, right? So but what you'll see is about a 7,500 seat facility that's multi-use, as Chris said. We don't know yet if it'll be grass or turf. We're going through that analysis right now, but because we want to be able to turn the field as quickly as possible so that we can run more events. versus having to let the grass grow. But I think you'll see in the next couple of weeks at least what we're thinking about, and hopefully it'll be received well.
Yeah. So, I know a lot of people have asked this, and I know there are a lot of parents on the call, people with children that are playing youth soccer now, and people are really excited about, one parent said, how can we get the youth involved, such as youth who might be interested in someday playing professional soccer in the area? What steps can they take, right? Because I mean, one of the rubs of soccer in the United States is that in some ways it is fragmented, right? When you compare it to a lot of the European countries and the way that they do soccer, they just do it differently. I had no idea until I looked into what they do in Germany, and it's like it's on a whole nother level the way they integrate kids into soccer, from what we would consider rec league all the way through academy, all the way up through several layers of teams before you get to, like, Bayern Munich or the German league or the Premier League or anything like that. So what is the hope for USL Arkansas in terms of the cohesion that you will bring to this area as it pertains to young people, both boys and girls, matriculating through and having a place to play beyond just high school or college even?
Yeah, I'll answer that, Randy, and I could talk about this for 45 more minutes. So I'll give you the really quick version. We don't have the final answer of what our youth structure will look like, right? And what we're doing is engaging with the community. All the clubs in our region are well aware of what we're doing. We've been extremely transparent for years, frankly, with especially some of the larger clubs. Engaging with Colby Hale at the University of Arkansas, women's coach, for several years now as well. And what we do know is that we have a responsibility, and I have a particular passion to help elevate the game in Northwest Arkansas at the youth level, right? What that looks like, we're going to figure that out based on what the community wants us to do. But what we hear in our discussions is help keep that talent here, help provide a pathway for that talent to get to the professional level. Provide a vision and a motivation and an opportunity for our youth here to get to that professional level. Help elevate the coaching. Help bring in coaching, training, and education to a higher level as well. There's licenses in U.S. soccer, and it goes all the way up to like A license. I was fortunate enough to play in college for a coach named Manfred Shellshade, who was A1, meaning he was the first licensed A coach in America. So every A license has a number. And so, in fact, I just talked to him yesterday. So we still stay in touch. And the reason I say that is because that's how I grew up. My passion is about that development of players and pathways, and coaching is a big part of that. And so we're going to do that through local community, helping build what we have here. We have an A licensed coach in Northwest Arkansas right now that we know that is involved in soccer in some ways. We have other really, really successful coaches that have moved here through other ventures that they've been part of. And then we have a network of people outside that we're going to bring in as well, right? So we want this to be homegrown as much as possible, but we know we have to elevate the level of coaching, the education, and then the infrastructure, right, to have that opportunity to play. So that's the short answer on a really, really long conversation that anyone can have with me over a beer anytime. Just let me know.
Randy, if I could just give an example. I mean,
Please.
So the USL has been very, very, there have been a lot of players in the championship as of late that are in their teens that are actually making a difference for the team. So we want to get these players in the best players in the region to come play with us in some way, and then get them signed on our first team and let them start, elevate. We had a player in San Diego named Chavi. Came to us at 14 years old. He just scored 2 goals in the match this last weekend. There's players in Charleston, and San Antonio. In fact, Louisville just signed a player that's sent to Europe for $1.2 million that came up through a system. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to provide that pathway. What Chris is saying, we just don't know exactly what that pathway is going to look like today.
Well, I think just simply having USL Arkansas in existence creates more opportunity than not. So I think that's tremendous. I don't know if we had any. Were there any more names, Rob? I don't know if we had any more names to add. I think we gave all the scarves away, so we certainly covered that. There's two questions. Okay, we're done with the scarves. There's one. Who can speak to the seasons and when the games will be played? A lot of people are inquiring about that. I know like the men's teams typically play in the USL from March into October and then have playoffs after that. And then Women's Super League plans to have a season that starts in the fall and ends the following summer. Is that about right? Or does that mean that we'll see games in December, January, and February, which I think would be kind of exciting? And
That's
anybody can answer
That's
that.
for me. I'll answer on the women's side. Yeah, we got to work out the schedule. Listen, our intent is that August to June calendar, and we work out the schedule in the winter. It is important that we have a winter break because we think a lot about the players' health, and that in the middle of the season, giving them a break is something we're really intent on. But yeah, like what an opportunity to have two teams playing on different schedules so that the fans have more opportunity to come out to games throughout the year, both throughout the calendar season. So
Yeah.
Randy, both leagues will play a 34, roughly a 34 match season in 33 weeks. So most of the matches you can count on being, Saturday nights primarily, Friday nights, maybe a Sunday match here and there, and then 1, 2, or 3, well, at least 3 weekday matches, in order to fit in that tight schedule. And then, of course, like Chris said, we want to throw as many events as we can that the region wants in that facility around those events.
Yeah. And also I know because some of the folks are asking about this. What about strategic partnerships with local businesses? Have all of those been spoken for? Is that still wide open? If people that are listening to this are saying, man, I want my company to have some affiliation with USL Arkansas, I'm imagining that door is wide open for anybody to walk through, right?
Absolutely, Chris. Chris knows the local community better than I. And what we've heard over and over, though, is we don't need to do business with people in Dallas or Kansas City. Let's do business with people here. So, and there's a ton of things that we will. Right now, our focus is literally how do we find the talent to actually bring into this club to operate the club. So we need seasoned, professionals. And then secondly, stadium. How do we actually, focus on building that stadium? When we get to next year, we'll start forming some more of those business to business, operating relationships. But yeah, we want to make sure that everybody knows this is a tool for them, and we want to help grow the local economy as best as we can.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. We have about 3 minutes left. Is there anything that any one of the three of you wanted to share that we didn't get a chance to talk about? And I do apologize to everybody that's online. We weren't able to get to every single question, but the one thing I will say, you guys have been doing double duty because I noticed that some of you have been answering these questions on here. So I really appreciate that. But anything, last parting thoughts that you'd like to share with people so that as they walk away from this call, or if they're listening to this at a later time, they can really get excited about what USL Arkansas is going to represent for Northwest Arkansas and maybe for themselves.
For me, the biggest piece of this is the community engagement. We've done over 15 listening sessions. We've had probably 400 plus individual discussions, and all of that has been feedback and input that we've garnered and put back into when we build the stadium, when we think about the branding, the color of the team, the crest, all those things. So we can't do it ourselves. We need the community to really, really engage as much as possible. As Randy said, don't just click on the link, go in, put your information and vote. USLArkansas.com, you'll see a fan survey. We are getting closer to naming, branding, cresting, right? And so we have some really great feedback, but we want more, and we want really cross-functional community support here. So please keep supporting us that way. That's most important right now.
Absolutely. Warren, you want to share something?
Yeah, just real quick. This is not our club. Listen, people like Chris and I come and go. At the end of the day, the fans are still there. So this is their club. and we have to build it around what ultimately you want to accomplish in this. And we do listen to everything. Wes, our number one employee, goes through all of our comments and gives us all the information that we're getting in weekly reports. So it's very, very important that you engage. And then ultimately ask your friends to engage and start to do that digitally right now, because that's how we start to build relationships. And then at the end of the day, once we start having more and more events, we'll be able to meet, more one-on-one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Wes Harris, who is the director of the team. And Wes is an amazing individual. I had a chance to sit down and talk with him. So folks that are on this call will be hearing a lot from Wes in the future. And Amanda, last word.
The future of soccer is incredible. I mean, we've seen what's happened. We've seen what's happened even in women's soccer at the Women's World Cup from where we were in 2019 to where we were this year in 2023. The energy's electric. It's exciting, and bringing that future and being part of the future Northwest Arkansas is a dream come true for us. So we're excited. Thank you everyone for joining, and Warren and Chris and Randy for inviting me to be part of this. And let's do it.
Absolutely. So again, as we close out, we put the link to the way that you can participate with USL Arkansas. What is the website again, Chris, as we close out?
Yeah, it's USLArkansas.com. Rob Smith in the chat posted the link right there. It'll bring you to the fan zone. You can go directly, input your information, and go vote. There's open sections for comments and discussions. If there's sponsorship or partnership discussions, you can go there as well for folks that want to just reach out to us individually. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Chris Martinovic, Warren Smith, and Amanda Vandervort. You guys are amazing. We're going to be rooting for you each and every day as you bring professional sports franchises to Northwest Arkansas. From the bottom of my heart, from the Northwest Arkansas Council, from all of those that are on this call, thank you very much for all that you're doing. And we're in your corner rooting for you. We appreciate you.
You, Randy. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the time, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's it, folks. Another episode of Onward Ozarks. I think we're going to have one more before the end of this year. I'm excited to bring you another wonderful conversation like this one here. Our time is up today. I certainly enjoyed you being with us. We hope to see you soon again. Bye for now.